the union understands that Victoria Police has got a very difficult job in dealing with organised crime. From the CFMEU, we are supportive of that, and the Victorian community and Australian community is of course supportive of the police in trying to deal with serious organised crime. What we say is that it's very important to understand that the union has no tolerance at all for corruption or for criminality, and that any elements that were found to be engaging in that sort of behaviour in the union will be dealt with quickly and ruthlessly. Now, we heard from Assistant Commissioner Fontana today that he made a mistake in his statement. It is now very clear that no officials of the CFMEU are members of outlaw motorcycle gangs, and we welcome the fact that he has corrected the record on that and apologised, and it's very important that that is a fact on the record. What we do want to say is this: we have repeatedly said to the Victoria Police, if they have got concerns about the industry, about criminality, about corruption, about any of those matters, the union stands ready to cooperate. That's been put in writing to the Victoria Police, and the union has reiterated that position after today's hearing to Assistant Commissioner Fontana.
Will you rescind normalised membership now being the other members of the PCO?
Well, he's an unfinancial member of the union. That's the fact. Now, our union does not have any motorcycle gang members as officials. Mr. Mayor, if he's broken the law, or anybody else in the building and construction industry or in the community breaks the law, they should be prosecuted. And that is the way the law works, and that is absolutely the position.
How do you react though to standover tactics, claims of extortion, and pretty serious allegations?
Well, no specific allegation has been made. If one is made, we will investigate it. What we say about it is this: extortion, bribery, corruption, standover tactics are things that the union is absolutely and resolutely opposed to. If we find any officer of the union engaged in bribery or corruption, we will act quickly, we will act ruthlessly, because that person has ceased to serve the members of the union, and they're in fact serving employers. But I think what we've also seen here today from Assistant Commissioner Fontana is this: he has acknowledged that it's not just about the union. There are problems in the building and construction industry. 25% of companies that go into liquidation in the Australian economy are in the building and construction industry. And where you've got companies going broke, phoenixing, when you've got that sort of behaviour, it does leave room for criminal elements to move in. So Assistant Commissioner Fontana today, in the box, actually proposed that company directors in the building and construction industry should also pass a fit and proper person test. That is a very interesting proposition, and one which we think merits some public debate and consideration.
Do you think the Commonwealth will go ahead and introduce this test, as Mr Fontana says, and how would the union respond to that?
Well, I've got absolutely no idea. First of all, it's important to understand that in relation to trade union officials, there is already a fit and proper person test. It's in the Fair Work Act, and we're happy to bring Assistant Commissioner Fontana's attention to that. There is no place for corruption, criminality, and any of that sort of behaviour in the building and construction industry. Our union will stamp it out resolutely. Thank you. Circumstance where a worker lost their life on that job. They lost their life because the builder had appalling safety standards on the job. If you read the report of what happened, that should never happen on a building and construction site. And yet, when the issue of safety is touched on in respect of the Pentridge job, all discussion about it is shut down because it's with the coroner. Now, you know, when a matter is with the coroner that implicates one of the Commission's star witnesses, a builder, of dubious safety record, it's shut down. But when there are proceedings afoot in the Supreme and Federal Court concerning the union, it's open slather. And there is a breathtaking double standard at work in this Royal Commission.
Is the union fully defending itself in those Victorian Supreme Court proceedings though? There was default judgment earlier this year for the union not entering an appearance.
The union is defending itself in relation to proceedings in the Supreme and Federal Court.
Okay, so it denies secondary boycott of Boral in those proceedings?
The union will defend the proceedings.
Mr. Noonan, just in regards to working with Victoria Police in terms of corruption, threats, etc., how do you propose to do that, given that we've heard in their claims that union members are threatening witnesses into not talking?
Well, we've heard, we haven't heard specific claims. We've heard a range of, if you like, high-level allegations. First of all, witnesses ought to be able to give whatever evidence they need to without any fear of retribution, and that's the union's position in relation to all matters. Secondly, we have said to the Victoria Police, our door is open to have a discussion. We're a trade union. We're there to achieve safety, wages and conditions for our members on construction sites in what is a very, very difficult industry. Now, if investigative authorities such as the police require our cooperation to deal with organised crime, criminality and corruption, we will cooperate to the best of our ability, but we can't be the investigator.
Does the union do due diligence of its own when electing its own officials?
Yes, absolutely. And of course you've got to remember, when you say the union elects its own officials, our officials are elected by members. We're a democratic organisation. We have elections, and our officials are drawn from the membership, by the membership, and elected in the interests of the membership. And that's the way it should be.
Has the union ever used outlaw motorcycle gangs to collect debts?
Absolutely, 100% never. There's absolutely no evidence of that, and if anybody was involved in that sort of behaviour, they would be dealt with by the union, and they would be dealt with ruthlessly by being sacked.
Are there any members of the union who are also members of outlaw motorcycle gangs?
We've got 100,000 members in the construction division of the union around Australia. There is no doubt that some of those people ride motorbikes, and there's no doubt some of them will choose to join motorcycle clubs, whether outlaw or not. We can't and don't control what people do in their spare time, but if people bring criminality to work, then that is an issue that concerns the workers on the site, and it concerns the union, and it should not happen.
The union actually played against some body members, including Noonan and Yage, and the post one body member, Harold's son, who was also a shop steward in the union. Has any action been taken against those people?
As I've said to you, if anybody is implicated in criminal activity, then they will be dealt with. But we're not going to have a situation where, because people may choose to ride motorbikes on the weekend, that we're going to have some kind of authoritarian state where we kick people out. What would be next? Surfers?
Photographs were of people wearing 1% symbol shaped into the back of their heads. They're saying that they're outside the law. Have you ever looked into that person?
Well, I'm aware of that report. Our position is very clear. Anybody who is involved in criminality, organised crime, or any of those matters on building sites, whether they're a member of a motorcycle club or not, will have no place in the union. I should also point out the individual you refer to is an elected workplace representative who is not an officer of the union. Thank you.